Welcome to Care More, Be Better, a podcast for people like you who care about the social impact of conscious companies and everyday heroes. Hear inspiring stories from those who put people and planet before profit and personal gain. You'll learn how you can make a difference, vote with your dollars, and get involved today. Here's your host, Corinna Bellizzi.
Thank you for joining me today for this piece of breaking news, specifically about what is happening in Ukraine. You know, I launched this podcast almost 2 years ago, and I ultimately did so to bring forth social impact and sustainability stories. One of the hardest things that we can do when we encounter some really tough news and difficult happenings around the world is really to remain vigilant when we are faced with bad news consistently. Standing with Ukraine isn't something that should be turned on or off like a light switch. And today we have some positive news. So I wanted to be sure everyone in my community is aware of it. Russia's war plan was rocked by Ukraine's rapid recent gains in the territory. Now I'll quote the Wall Street Journal's recent article titled, "Russia's War Plan is Rocked by Ukraine's Rapid Gains." This was written by Thomas Grove and Ann M. Simmons. Published today, September 13th, 2022. Russia's chaotic retreat from strongholds in northeastern Ukraine, cities and towns it took months to capture, has left Moscow's political and military leadership struggling to absorb the scale of the losses, according to analysts who follow domestic Russian politics. This egg-on-the-face reality may not last. It's possible that Russia will regain their losses and continue the dramatic harm on the people of the Ukraine. But for now, we can applaud their effort. We can applaud what they've gained as they continue to pile pressure on a retreating Russian force. On this topic, I want to share with you a clip from a recent interview in which I connected with Daniel Tonkopi of Delfast Ebikes. He spoke with me about what he's personally doing to support the people of Ukraine. Since he got his company's start in Kiev, this is a personal interest for him. So, Daniel, as we get started with today's conversation, I would really just love to know what it is that you're doing specifically in the Ukraine to support people there, to stand with Ukraine as these 5% of your revenues are going directly to support people there.
Yeah, thank you for asking, and thank you for your support to Ukraine and for being with us, for staying with us. Yeah, we do a lot. We work as in two shifts now. One shift is in Delfast or in other companies, and second shift is to fight against the Russian invasion. So what we do, 5% is what we donate to the people of Ukraine of all of our revenues. We give bikes for free. And Ukrainian army equipped our bikes with the rocket launchers. So they put it on the back and work against Russian tanks and other technique.
These are the realities that we don't necessarily want to think about, but it's what's happening there. And so you're essentially actively becoming a part of the resistance.
Absolutely, yes. We help to medical volunteers. We buy some medicine and medical equipment. We buy binoculars. We buy internet connection and everything to them. But this is not only what we do. We do. We are in the resistance, and for example, right now. There is a flash mob in internet started from Ukrainian IT companies. We change their, on the websites, on online services, there is a language bar, like you can choose English or Russian or Ukrainian or anywhere, anything. And instead of just Russian, we put Russia is a terrorist state. So we encourage Biden and Congress and Blinken to announce Russia as a state of sponsor of terrorism, because Russia is killing innocent people. They killing hostages. They constantly bombing cities. So, and they don't obey any laws and traditions.
Yeah, you're talking about cities, hospitals, and schools have all been targeted.
Yes, absolutely. So we encourage Blinken and Biden to announce it as a terrorist state. Apart from that, we go to rallies. I live in LA, and there are a lot of rallies, and we stay there. We show people just Americans. So what's going on? And at one moment, I thought, well, that's probably not enough. We have to go more, not just staying on one crossroad, but wider to show it to larger audience. So I organized a group of volunteers, and we started to publish in Congress people's Twitters what's going on. We send pictures from the ground, from Ukraine. We give the information. We share the actual statistics. So we share the information, and we, in order to give them objective, status. And we have some successes. Like in the very beginning of the war, Biden didn't want to support Ukraine because he was afraid of a nuclear war, or he didn't want to escalate. But we needed help. We needed HIMARS. We needed military equipment. So we started to speak with senators and with Congress people. I called to Ukrainian entrepreneurs, famous bloggers, and we made a group of Ukrainian leaders against the war. And that's how we called this group. YOLO. Yeah, thank you. And we spoke to senators, and finally Congress approved this land lease for $40 billion help. We helped to make it happen.
So what you're speaking to is sometimes activism has to be a little noisy and also creative. You have to band together, and guess what? Congress listens to entrepreneurs because you're creating money and you're paying taxes, and you sometimes have to leverage that and be a little noisy and be that squeaky wheel, from that little moniker on your site to call Russia a terrorist state, to the brass tacks of getting a group together and approaching and lobbying Congress. So hats off to you for doing that.
Thank you. And this is not only about Ukraine, it's about the world. If Ukraine will lose in this war, this will give a signal to the entire world that a democracy probably will lose when staying in front of Putinism. Fascism.
It sets precedent, right? It sets precedent for what we allow. And ultimately, the annihilation and elimination of an entire culture and peoples is not something we can stand idly by and just deal with. So
thank you
thank you for that. And for giving 5% of all sales from Delfast to this effort, in addition to the other efforts, which are not necessarily monetary, but which are just as important and vital. That's incredible. And I, for one, appreciate it. It's helpful for me to be able to tell a piece of this story because it's very sensitive. And I should probably have prefaced today's episode with a bit of a trigger warning about that, because the reality is when we talk about war, people get really uncomfortable. But hey, we got to talk about the uncomfortable things too.
Yes, we are dying. People are dying. People are leaving country. This is our reality, and we are fighting with this invasion. This is not what we wanted to have. This is what crazy Russian army invaded to Ukraine. So we protect our houses, and we are proud to do this.
Yes.
We will fight for our houses and for
the
our
spirit
democracy.
of the Ukrainian people has been on full display for all of us.
Thank
from
you very much.
Your president and really from everyone. So it's been an incredible journey. Thank you for your efforts with Delfast. That's incredible.
Yes. Thank you. And thank you to you for your support. And thank you to all Americans for staying with Ukraine. And thank you to Congress, and thanks to Biden well, we do appreciate the United States for all the help and for all the support.
So instead of learning more about the e-bikes, I'm jumping back in here because that's the snip I wanted to share. It gives a face of humanity to the struggles that we're seeing in the Ukraine. And I want for all of you to think about that. If you take a moment and if you look at the articles that you see online, there's one, in fact, by W Top News that I just found today. And looking at the photographs there, I'm reminded of World War II. If you just simply made these images black and white and removed the smartphones, that's what it looks like. So let's think about that. Let's think about the damage that is being done and what we can do to help prevent it. One of the things that we can do is we can let our Congress people know that we do not support the lifting of sanctions against Russia. Granted, this is, of course, something that Putin's war machine is trying to get out there. The propaganda ultimately saying, I'm going to continue to squeeze everyone I can until you start lifting sanctions. Well, he's on the retreat, so we don't need to do any of that right now. It's important to remain vigilant. Now, if you are a budding activist and you'd like to know a little bit more about what you can do to unleash your inner activist, I encourage you to simply go to caremorebebetter.com. If you sign up for my email newsletter, I only send one email a week, never more. Then you can ultimately receive a 5-step guide to unleash your inner activist. It's a resource guide. It's primarily focused on climate activism and includes many links to different charities that you can support and get involved with if that's your jam. But if the Ukraine war and protesting against that is your jam, you can adapt it just as simply to that. So I want to thank you all for spending this brief moment with me as I offered this breaking news interlude. I would encourage you all to go and review my full interview with Daniel Tonkopi as we talked about his work with Delfast Ebikes. And if you're in the market for a great e-bike that can go as many miles as your Chevy Bolt might, I'm talking 230 plus miles on a single charge, then perhaps his bikes are a solution for you. I will include links to that episode with show notes, as well as 2 links to articles that can help to keep you informed on this topic. Thank you for all of your efforts and support of the show. I appreciate every single one of my listeners. And if you have any thoughts that you'd like to share directly with me, you can always send me an email note to hello@caremorebebetter.com or message me on social platforms. You can even leave me a voicemail directly on the caremorebebetter.com site. Thank you now and always for being a part of this pod and this community, because together we really can do so much more. We can care more and we can be better. We can even defeat Russia's advances.
Thanks for listening to Care More, Be Better, a podcast for social good. To make sure you never miss an episode, subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. And share with your friends to help us reach more people and spread more social good.